So, 1 second.
I think something's done right now. There's no harm, no foul. There's no charges.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Frame of View. I'm Parson Brown, and I am so excited to introduce to you Caroline and Max, who are going to share with us a really special experience that they have been part of. There has been a tree sit-in that has been preventing the Mountain Valley Pipeline in Virginia for over 2 years, and these heroes are now have finally been taken out of their space, and we need to talk about it because I think it's important. So guys, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Parson.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So for if you want to just start us off, give me a little bit of background for those. I've been following you, but I wouldn't dare to try and give the facts for what you guys have been on the front lines for. Share with anybody who's listening everything about what you've been up to for the last 2 years.
Well, basically, the Yellowfinch tree sits began on September 5th, 2018, when 2 tree sits appeared on a steep slope off of Yellowfinch Lane that MVP intended to clear for pipeline construction. For 932 days, people lived on those tree sit platforms, preventing a small patch of trees along MVP's route from being cleared. There was a ground support camp that supported the tree sits for, I'd say roughly the first 800 days, maybe more. And that was a space that was open to visitors. It was a beloved place where people could learn about pipeline resistance and get to know like-minded folks. That's where Max and I met, actually. So yeah, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. I'd say probably one of the most important things to know about the tree sits in my mind are the fact that they had a lot of community support and is really the only reason that they were able to continue for the record-breaking amounts of time that they did. People from the county, from all over the state of Virginia, came by to meet the tree sitters, bring food, supplies, and just to get to know the area. And it really has connected a lot of the people who have lived in this community together as well.
It takes a really special type of person to dedicate themselves to go into such a grueling action where they will sit into a tree, live in a tree for a cause that they believe in. Could you tell me anything about the folks that worked with you, and also if they had to go through any special training to prepare for that?
I mean, personally, I would consider Ren and Acre to be very special people, but I'm really only speaking that way of them as friends that I've known and worked with for a while. But I would say that the actions that they've taken are really things that just about anyone can do. They had to learn how to climb a tree, of course. But other than that, I would say that there wasn't really any special training involved, and that there are ways to take actions that really anyone, even people who don't want to climb up into a tree, can take to fight the pipeline.
Absolutely. And I think that's, you guys are here to, you're living proof of that. You can't do that without a support team. And that's so tell me more about what was your role during this whole process, and how have you, what have you learned through this action?
One moment. Well, yeah, one thing I think you really hit the nail on the head, both, you and Max, that I think just the support network is vital to being able to do that type of thing. I mean, again, their actions were very brave, but it's much easier to be brave with friends. And I think that's just the point we're in, in fighting the climate crisis and just solving the problems facing our society right now is really needing to come together to be brave and support each other and being able to take action that we couldn't do alone. And, I think that comes from friendship, that comes from laughter, just having people around you. Trust is so important, having people that will have your back and protect your safety. Obviously, going up 60 feet into a tree puts you in a very vulnerable position. So knowing that there's people who have your safety in mind and will take risks to protect you is very important. But it also, is the simple things like cooking meals. I mean, that the importance of good food cannot be overstated when it comes to maintaining mental stamina and health. And, that was just the simple thing like food, which I will say, I certainly cooked for the tree sitters on numerous occasions, but even something so simple like that was a giant community effort. People would bring us food from their gardens. They would buy
It's so
groceries.
simple, but it's absolutely feed the people that will do anything for you. That's that is not an understated contribution.
Not at all. And it's actually something that's really beautifully brought together the community and been a way that people have been able to connect with the resistance. Is just helping provide food to the people taking action has been a real way people have connected and come together. So that's beautiful to see and can happen anywhere.
So, all right. So now let's transition into what happened. They were living in this situation and there was a court order, and it took the authorities some time to figure it out, from what I understand. And then in the last several days, action was taken. Can you guys walk me through what happened?
Well, the short story is that this past Tuesday and Wednesday, Virginia State Police used a crane to remove and arrest the tree sitters. And shortly after that, the patch of trees on MVP's route that they had been protecting was cut to make way for pipeline construction. So that's the short story of what transpired this Tuesday and Wednesday after 932 days of resistance.
932 days of resistance. I feel like that's something that just needs to be repeated.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
We are pretty sure, we've not been able to confirm this, but as far as we understand, it's the longest continuous aerial blockade that's happened in the United States.
I have not been able to contradict you because I looked it up myself. So it's pretty impressive.
And I think, we can go a bit more into what happened on Tuesday and Wednesday, but the truth of it is really the first thing that happened was early Tuesday morning, the state police blocked Cove Hollow Road in Elliston, Virginia, which leads to Yellowfinch Lane, and they were not letting anyone up Cove Hollow Road who did not have a Cove Hollow address on their ID. So they were not letting legal observers from the National Lawyers Guild, and they were not letting media in to anywhere near the tree sits or anyone else to witness what they were putting the tree sitters through.
Can I pause you and just ask you if you can give a little more geographically, let people know exactly where you're at, because maybe not everybody knows the track line of the MVP pipeline, of the Mountain Valley Pipeline.
Yeah, the pipeline runs from, let's see, just want to make sure I'm saying this right. It runs from northwest West Virginia, where the Marcellus and Utica Utica shale projects are, all the way down to southern Virginia. There's also a proposed extension into North Carolina.
Yes, and the Mountain Valley, or sorry, excuse me, the Yellowfinch tree sits were at one specific place along that route, outside of Elliston, Virginia, which is, I don't know, halfway between Blacksburg and Roanoke, Virginia, right on the Montgomery County and Roanoke County line.
Now, are we talking about primarily private land or federal land?
Where the tree sits were, or where the pipeline?
Where the pipeline is projected to go.
The pipeline route does cross a bit of public land, such as the the Washington and Jefferson National Forests and the Appalachian Trail, but it mostly crosses extremely mountainous, very forested private land.
And so that's part of the problem, right? Is that it's construction and maintaining a pipeline that's already very dangerous, that we already know, that would just make it more of a liability. Is that correct? Would that be fair to say?
Definitely, yeah. Another kind of unique thing about this pipeline and the area it goes through is that it's pretty well known for its karst topography, which is formed from the dissolution of soluble rocks such as limestone, dolomite, and gypsum. And it's characterized by drainage systems with sinkholes and caves. So this area has a really high potential for karst collapse, and with extractive practices, has a really high risk for groundwater pollution.
And of course, the Appalachian Mountains in general provide, they are the watersheds for millions of people and almost the entire eastern seaboard. So everybody is connected in that way. So it's very important. It's not just a Southern West Virginia and or a West Virginia issue. This is something that impacts millions of people. So it's not. I just want anybody that's listening to know that what these folks have done is not just for their backyard. It's for everybody.
No pipelines here, no pipelines anywhere.
Yeah, solidarity there. So, all right. So what are your feelings on the general political climate right now? We've been through a lot as a country. I don't mean just in Virginia or West Virginia. I mean overall, like your perspective as activists and as organizers. I know that myself personally, through the Trump administration, I got a little depressed and felt slightly defeated, but your efforts have inspired me to keep fighting on. So how are you guys feeling right now?
Well, I mean, something that has given me a lot of hope from this entire fight against the Mountain Valley Pipeline is that it has absolutely brought together people from across the political spectrum. I think, Republican Democrat political divides have not been a large part of our fight. And that's really because neither the Democrats or the Republicans are offering any solutions to the problems we're facing. I think people in this fight, I myself has really realized how in the end it comes down to our ability to come together as a community and take the action needed to protect ourselves and each other. And, that's something no politician is going to do for us. And that's really a point of unity that we can focus on and that we have focused on in this fight against the Mountain Valley Pipeline.
Excellent. That's really great.
Can I ask you one thing?
Yeah, please ask me questions.
I'm just wondering how the audio is doing with this wind. It's got.
I hear a little bit of your wind. It has not been bad except for like just a few seconds in the last few minutes. It's not terrible.
I'm not quite sure what we can do about that, but we can try if you need us to.
It's okay. It's only just been a few moments, but you're Appalachians, so we'll roll with it. If the wind is blowing, I am just thankful for your time in general.
Great.
Yeah, so I mean, so what's next? You have your cohorts are in sort of like legal purgatory right now. What do you guys
say more about that actually, about this?
Yeah, please expand on what their situation is and what anything you have to add.
Yeah, I think that's an important point and something that's really a big thing that we're facing right now. So both the tree sitters are currently in jail at Western Virginia Regional Jail. Wren, also known as Robin, in the tree they were known as Robin, but we'll refer to them as Wren in this interview. Wren was charged with 1 misdemeanor and Aker was charged with 2. The outrageous part is neither of them were given bail initially, and Wren had a bail hearing earlier this week and was denied bail, which means that the judge is trying to keep them in jail until their court date more than a month from now.
Why?
I mean, that's the question. It's extremely unusual to hold someone without bail on 1 non-violent misdemeanor. That is absolutely not typical or really excusable. And to me, it's clearly intended to punish Wren and importantly, to scare off future resistance to the MVP.
So let's get down to the nuts and bolts. Do you guys have legal assistance? And is there a way for legal assistance to contact you if they are so willing to help you?
I mean, I'd say yes. If anyone out there would like to offer those fighting the MVP pro bono legal work, they absolutely should get in touch.
Appalachians Against Pipelines at protonmail.com.
All right, we'll make sure that we share that.
Legal support. And I guess I just also, I want to emphasize how heartbreaking it is for me to think of Wren and Aker in jail right now. And especially to imagine the judge might try to keep them there until their court processes are completed, potentially months from now. I mean, jail is a horrible place. It's isolating, it's demoralizing, it's depressing. Inmates are regularly threatened, harassed, abused, and even killed. Jails and prisons are really not places fit for human beings. And it's a tragedy that our society forces so many people there. So it's just, it's really hard to think of the tree sitters being in those circumstances, and also hard to think of the, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people currently in that situation.
Yes, absolutely. On the broader scale, for sure. And it just it breaks my heart to think of your colleagues who I'm sure are strong, hardened people because they were in those trees for so long. And if anybody had they seem like very strong individuals, but they don't deserve to be in jail.
No, and really neither do the other hundreds of thousands of people.
Absolutely, yes. So if there's anything that anybody can do, let's get loud. Let's talk about let's get our friends out of jail. Let's get a lot of people released out of jail, but let's specifically if we can raise some awareness for our tree sitter friends that all they are guilty of is standing their ground and protecting all of us. We should be, instead of incarcerating them, we should be thanking them. Everybody should be sending them flowers and money and chocolates. That's my opinion.
Absolutely.
So I don't and I don't want this conversation to become political, but I have been in touch with Delegate Sam Rasool, who is a candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. And from my understanding, he did show up on the site during the extraction. Do you guys know anything about that?
Yeah, we heard about Sam being able to be escorted in by the police, as well as Sarah Bond, who is a local member of the local Montgomery County Board of.
Apologize for that. That was somebody started to play a song, but then they quickly quit playing a song.
No worries.
We're in a multimedia studio, guys. There's a lot of instruments and stuff. They were just trying to move a light and bumped the piano.
Wow.
But excuse me, continue. If you want to maybe start over and restate that last part you were saying.
Sure. We were aware that Sam Rizul, and as well as Sarah Bond, who is part of the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors, were able to be escorted in by the police.
Now, do you feel that that was helpful? And were there any, before that, were there any other legal observers?
I mean,
in your frame of view, I mean, do you feel that you were adequately protected?
no, I think why would they not let certified legal observers from the National Lawyers Guild in to witness what they were doing? Why would they not let media in to witness what they were doing? Why would they not let the numerous local supporters of the tree sitters in to witness what they were doing? I mean, I guess I think I know why, but I don't think them hand picking two individuals who, I don't know. I don't think them hand picking two individuals is at all a substitute for allowing press or legal observers or anyone else in.
Well, I can't speak for, excuse me, I can't speak for the delegate, but through my conversations, it sounded more like he wanted to be there, and he personally just wanted to make sure that if nobody else was going to show up, he was. But I'm going to have a conversation with him about that in the next couple days. I know that he supports your efforts, but I'm not campaigning for him. But it is aggravating and just it's unacceptable that you not have that the media not have access, that your supporters not be able to be there. And did you at one point have legal observers and then they were removed from the premises? Am I wrong about that?
I'm a little fuzzy on those facts. It seems a little confusing and convoluted, that whole situation. So I guess I'd prefer not to get into it. But I will say that media and legal observers both spent a lot of time trying to negotiate their right to their way in and really asserting their legal rights to be there, and were turned away repeatedly. But as to what you mentioned, that's a little bit of a confusing situation I can't quite get into.
What do we do next? We get them out of jail, but then what do we as a movement do to continue to protect people from this incredibly awful pipeline? It's a disaster in the making. It's engineered to be a horrible mistake. What do we do next?
They are about to start working again in Giles and Craig County. So their MVP is trying to say that the pipeline is almost completely done, that there's really no point in fighting it now. But we know for a fact that's not true. A large portion of this pipeline has not been built, and there are still plenty of opportunities to fight it. Ways that people can do that are through contacting Appalachians Against Pipelines, either through the Appalachians Against Pipelines Facebook page, or through our email, or through the email, which is appalachiansagainstpipelines@protonmail.com. People can also take their own actions. People can talk to their friends and neighbors, especially if they live somewhere close by, and can talk about ways that they can fight it in their own ways. Let's see.
That's excellent.
The Mountain Valley Pipeline also isn't the only pipeline fight happening right now. There's also
Yes, please elaborate, because there's some there's other stuff going on.
Yeah, specifically up in Minnesota, there are people taking some really inspiring actions against the Line 3 pipeline. A way to learn more about that fight and also potentially get involved are through the GNU Collective Facebook page. Highly recommend checking that out.
That's GNU Collective, GINIW. And yes, they have been taking some really inspiring action that people should absolutely support. These pipeline fights are very connected. We have to fight them all. So
yeah,
definitely.
Connected being a not even punny.
No.
Yes, so solidarity with them and with folks doing this type of work everywhere, because it's not just in Virginia, but you guys are you're my home state, and you caught my attention, and I absolutely just wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't have a conversation with you and thank you two and everybody involved with your action for what you've done.
And can I just make a...
You absolutely can, except that now that our beagle has decided that he wants to be a star too. Give me 1 second.
No worries.
We do run a business out of this house, but there's a lot going on.
Same. Yeah, I mean, I just want to encourage anyone listening who's been inspired by Wren and Acre's story and who's been inspired by the yellowfinch tree sits to really think seriously about what risks they are willing and able to take to protect our world for future generations. I mean, I think a lot of people recognize that we're at a really crucial moment right now. I mean, there's a lot of horrible things out there threatening human life on all fronts, honestly. And I just think if that's going to change, it's going to take brave people like Wren and Acre, like recognizing their bravery and like standing up. Like those people are, special and brave, but it can't all be left to like us desperate young people who don't see a future. You know what I mean? Like, I think everyone has the power to like take risks and put their bodies on the line and like intervene with the harm that is happening all around us. And I just would love anyone hearing this to just think about that seriously and really try to like find the bravery and courage within themselves to like take action, even though that can be scary, because we really need it. Now's the time. And I just know we can find the strength to rise up together, and it's beautiful. That's all.
You guys are wise beyond your years, and that's exactly what this conversation, that every conversation that I hope that I ever have, in any conversation that anyone can inspire with anybody else should have, because folks like you and folks like Wren and Acre are who make a difference. And I'm so proud to have gotten to know you guys, and I'm gonna stand with you. And I encourage everybody else to stand in solidarity with Wren and Acre and with the Appalachians Against Pipelines. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing, and don't ever give up.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Oh, I could talk to you guys forever. I feel like we might be like BFFs, but whenever.
Well, I think there's a couple more things I'd love to get on the record if you're willing.
Yes, yes. I have all the time in the world, and I would love to. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think there's just a little bit of background on what's been years of fighting the Mountain Valley Pipeline that I'd love to get into. And then there's just a few quotes from a beautiful statement Robin or Wren wrote to be released upon their arrest that I'd also love to read in case you wanted to include.
We definitely want to get their words out immediately.
Amazing. Okay, well, I guess first a little bit of background on the opposition the Mountain Valley Pipeline has faced. So when, Mountain Valley Pipeline has faced widespread local opposition since it was announced in 2014. Hundreds of property owners along the route refused to sell the rights to their land, and so they had to be taken through eminent domain. So again, opposition has been ongoing. When pipeline construction began in February 2018, so did direct action against it. Yellowfinch was not the first aerial blockade of Mountain Valley Pipeline construction. There were many others, but two included a tree sit and a monopod that blocked construction in Jefferson National Forest near the Appalachian Trail, where construction is still yet to be completed. And over the years, dozens of people have stopped construction by locking themselves to equipment on what would be active work sites. And a huge takeaway from all that for me is that the Yellowfinch tree sits, as well as other people taking direct action against the Mountain Valley Pipeline, have always emphasized that their protests are about much more than just this pipeline. I think, the Yellowfinch tree sits have always emphasized that the problem is a system in which people and the environment are exploited and abused for the power, profit, and greed of a select few people. And the ugly face of this system can definitely be seen in the jails and immigrant detention centers, where hundreds of thousands of people are held hostage, and in the wars this country wages across the world, and in the ongoing genocide of Indigenous people on this continent, as well as in destructive projects such as the MVP. And I would just like everyone to remember that the entire Mountain Valley Pipeline route lies on land stolen from Native people, such as the Monacan people, the Saponi people, the Tutelo, and many, many others. And MVP has not gotten permission from those groups to build the pipeline. And in building it, they are continuing a history of violence, exploitation, and land theft that began when settlers arrived on this land 500 years ago.
Wow.
So that's it's important to me to say those things to do justice to, all the people who have taken action and worked really hard to get that message out there. So if any of that fits into your radio spot,
it's sad that you had to make that statement, but it's a very compelling statement, and it just gave me, from my frame of view, you just gave me some goosebumps, because you're so right.
Well, thank you. And then I guess my final thing, and then I will pass it over to Max to see if there's any last things they want to get on the record.
Okay.
But I would also, just in terms of how to support this fight and what to do next, I would also really include anyone listening to take the time to educate themselves on this country's prison and policing system, and to really speak out against those things in our community. I mean, that is a big ask, that is a big way that Ren has asked for support, is for people to support other incarcerated people and just to learn about and speak out about the injustice that is our prison and police system. And in their beautiful, beautiful statement that can be found on the Appalachians Against Pipelines Facebook page that was released when they were arrested, they really emphasize those things. And I've just got a couple quotes that I would like.
You're welcome to share it.
Yes. Okay, well, one quote of theirs that Wren wrote from the tree before their arrest is that the threat of arrest and everything that comes after it is meant to deter resistance and demonstrate control and authority. Legality and morality are often very contradictory things, and I, Wren, believe that refusing to adhere to unjust and immoral laws is an act of defiance against the state and undermines its supposed authority. They went on to say, in jail, it becomes extremely obvious who the injustice system serves and how many of the laws that are violently upheld by the state only make sense in the context of preserving capitalism and imperialism, and ultimately keeping the rich and powerful in control. Laws and the cops that enforce them are not about protecting people. They are about protecting illegitimate institutions built on stolen land and with the labor of stolen, enslaved people. And then the final quote from Wren's statement that I would like to pass on to you is that their statement that carceral institutions share something in common with extractive industry corporations. They both put profits, power, and control over people's lives and futures. And they both have no place in the world I am fighting for. So just to me, all that says that to do justice to Wren, to really act in, in Wren's legacy, or to really take the action that I don't know, Wren is asking for, means to be adamant about opposing prisons and incarceration. And just that I hope all your listeners will think about that, learn about that, and make their voices heard when it comes to that struggle as well.
My gosh, that takes a really powerful soul to make a statement from incarceration and to have been to be in jail because they've been protecting the land and people of one community, and still to have the might to say that their message is to protect others and to bring justice to others. That is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Wren and Acre. Whenever they can hear this, I hope that they know that my heart is with them, and that hopefully everybody that hears this can show some support. We here at Party Blimp and at the Frame of View we're on your team. Whatever we can do, whatever we can share, keep sending us stuff. And I just cannot thank you enough for what you're doing.
I think
the most important question that I have not asked, that I would be remiss if I did not bring up, because I need to know, what happened to the trash can guitar? Is it okay?
I assume that it is not okay.
Oh man. Oh.
But I'm really hoping that Wren and Acre will record some more songs upon their release from jail, because my ears have not gotten them.
I think that would be awesome. I was so worried about that trash can guitar. I wanted it to be like, this like iconic relic from this thing. Somebody's got it. Let's track it down.
Yeah, you might have to ask the state police about that.
Well, the thing that you will learn about me is that my name is Parson Brown, and I'll call anybody.
Oh, geez.
You're wonderful. I've enjoyed this time so much. Do you have anything else that you want to share? Because I'm confident that if we keep going, I could talk to you forever.
One day we'll rise up, build the world we had in mind. One day they'll arrest us for standing for what's right. It's not the jail time that I mind, it's the injustice found inside. Someday the system's gonna burn. Up on the Blue Ridge Mountains is where I made my stand. Up on the Blue Ridge Mountains is where I made my stand. With a tree sit up this oak tree and a guitar in my hand. Another No More Pipeline song. MVP and police can't climb a hill so steep. MVP and police gonna wreck a crane, you'll see. Whenever they come get me, I'll be sitting in this tall oak tree. Don't they know the pipeline's doomed? Locals and LOs look kindly after me. Locals and LOs look kindly after me. We stand in solidarity with Land Back and Line 3. There's strength in unity. Birds, squirrels, and insects come hang out in our trees. Frost thawed and new growth and fresh budding spring leaves. They will rip up the forest and force the rocks to bleed. Free the land from corporate greed. One day we'll rise up, build the world we had in mind. One day they'll arrest us for standing for what's right. It's not the jail time that I mind, it's the injustice found inside. Someday the system's gonna burn.